easy enough. Velcro. Good idea. Thank you, Jennifer. That's what the hole in the back of the other one is for, is to pop it out. There's a donut piece. Let me see if I can lift it up without it dropping out. Like there's a hole in the back of that one. But I'm thinking it was made because you need something to keep it in there. It's kind of heavy. It's going to be top heavy, and your 3-inch round is going to fall out. So I'm doing Velcro. You guys can do whatever works for you. Okay. Let's talk about cleaning your pieces. If you have a magic eraser, go cut a chunk off of it, unless you have some of my chunks already. And I use a finger protector. You're going to need a spray bottle. And you can see I've already used this one. And what I want to show you is the char, which is the really dark areas around that piece. And on our little flamingo, see around his eyes, and all of those pieces. We want to get as much of that off as we can without having to sand it. So with my wood pieces only, I don't know if it works on all wood. I just know that it works on mine. So this is what I do. I spray. You want a damp magic eraser square, not soaking wet. You just want to squeeze a little bit and activate the magic eraser. Have a paper towel handy. And I'm going to just start wiping off that char. The char or overburn is what it's called. And then you want to wipe it off. You want to dry it as quickly as possible and see how clean that came. So I'm going to do the flower. And then the round. And now everything is clean, including the little flower. Okay. Now what you want to do after you get them all cleaned is to stain the backs of your pieces. You can stain them if you want. Some people don't stain them or paint them or do anything. They just leave them natural wood look. I stain all of mine and I just use a baby wipe. I just showed you that method on some of those other pieces, but I do need to do the back of this one. Next, what you want to do is go searching for all the colors that you want to use on your monthly pieces. A good way to do that is to like look at what we're doing. So a flamingo with a flower, and go look on Pinterest. Look up flamingo colors, flower colors. This is like the Hawaiian flower. Don't know what that is. Anyway, go look for Velcro. Is a lot better. It's a lot lighter too. Because I picked up some magnets and I was like, this versus this. But Dollar Tree does have the smaller magnets too that'll fit in that hole. So totally up to you as to what you want to use. So after you're done with that, you can just let it sit out and dry back up. And I am done with this, so I'm going to take that off. I always forget to take it off. So I've already pulled some colors, but what I want to do now is separate my pieces by color. So I use foam board, or you'll see I use cut up Amazon boxes, anything that you want to use that you normally would have thrown away, keep it, and then add painter's tape to it with the sticky side up. This is going to hold your little pieces so that you can paint them without your fingers getting in the way. So I know my flamingo is going to be pink. So I have my pink pieces here. My flower is going to be yellow. The crown is going to be gold, so I'm going to put that next to that. And then I have my rectangle piece, which I have not figured out what color I'm doing on that yet. My letters, I have two other flowers. These are going to be white with yellow centers. And then the month. So it's still not dry, but we're going to work with it anyway. Okay. And then another thing that I use is makeup sponges. So I buy mine on Amazon in bulk because I use a ton of them, and in my subscription boxes, that's what we use over there. So that's what I use. I'm done with the stain. I'm going to start with, so I have a light pink and a darker pink. This is going to be for shading and for part of the beak. So I'm going to do that, and I line up my colors. I have yellow for the flower, and then I have yellow ochre and gold for the crown, and then I have crystal blue, which is going to be the background color for this piece. So I probably should do, if my flowers are going to be white with yellow, I could do pink with blue, and where this is blue with pink, that's what we will do. So this is going to be pink, and this is going to be blue. Got it. Got our colors. We are ready to go. I have my other glasses in case I need to switch them out. Alrighty, let's get going. I'm going to start with the light pink. I'm actually going to start with white. Anytime I'm using a light color like a yellow, a really like a skin tone, I'm using light pink. I need to put white on first. So I'm going to put some white down. And I'm going to just grab a sponge. I'm going to tap in, but I don't want all that paint right there. I need to tap a lot of that off so it blends in. And I'm going to lightly tap. You don't want to get paint into your score lines. Have something sharp, and I'm going to lightly tap over those lines and where the eye is. So right like that, you can still see all of the lines. There's no paint in the lines, but if you do get paint in there, grab something sharp like a pen or something like that and get that paint out of there before it dries. Once it dries, you can't get it out. Okay. These flowers are white, so pretty much this whole blue, pretty much this whole project, I am base coating in white first. And I'm barely touching this. I'm not like jamming it down. Okay, so over here, I'm gonna do this. I can just get it on really quickly, but I wanna be careful over the words. I just wanna get a base coat of white down first. And then this is going to be pink. Okay, so that's all I did was just put white on all of my pieces, right like that. Just get you a layer of white on. Now, I do have these flowers that are going to stay white, so I'm going to give them another coat of white paint. I need to get this too. I just need to get it base coated, so there we go. Now I can come in with the light pink. Oh, thank you, Linda. I love it too. Thank you, Michelle. I was telling her earlier how long it took me to pick the colors for the carriage that we're doing in the Wood Nook on Thursday. Y'all, it took me 4 hours to come up with the colors, but I gotta say, it looks amazing. It looks amazing. All right, so I'm gonna take one of my sponges and I'm gonna cut. I don't need that big of a sponge for some of my pieces here. They're just small. So I'm gonna dip it in that light pink and I'm gonna dab it off. And I'm gonna come back to my flamingo and I'm gonna dab it on. Do y'all's watches tell you to stand up? I'm like, look, I'm busy. I think it's getting a little too familiar with my schedule. Okay, we've got one layer of the pink on. Now I'm going to come to the yellow. I'm going to get a little tiny sponge. Got the yellow on there. The crown, I'm going to do yellow ochre as my first layer. And it is really good coverage, so I don't even need a ton. I'm going to use another tiny little sponge. And then I want the blue. This one I'm going to use a bigger one. Hi, Cheryl. Welcome, welcome. We are just getting going here. You guys remember, if you want this kit, it's on my website, and the link is in the comments. And it's also pinned in the description of the video. Okay, I'm doing the words blue, so I need to get those painted. Ooh. Thank you for sprinkling, I appreciate it. All right, so I'm going to start all over. I need to do another layer of white on these flowers. That is done. Now I need pink on my flamingo. I also need pink on this piece. And I don't care if paint gets into the lines on this, because everything on here is getting covered up. And so I only barely want to see through it anyways. That's going to need another coat. All right, next is the yellow. The crown is good. I'm going to go in with Inca Gold. Oh, thank you, Cheryl. I want this crown to have a little bit of bling to it. And so I'm using a metallic gold in the color Inca. Now I'm going to come in with this blue again, and I'm going to tap. I like the texture that tapping the sponges gives your pieces. So everything is colored. Now we need to finish the beak. I do need to give this a second coat. Let's see if I can squeeze it right in there, because I want to tap. Hi, Debbie. Okay, now everything's covered. I'm gonna blow it dry real quick so we can move on. Okay, so at this point, I'm going to take everything off the board because it's all base coated. Now we're just putting on some of the little details. Now, you don't have to do any of the details. It's totally up to you as to how far you want to take this. This design, Cheryl, is an interchangeable piece that we are doing. Let's see, let me remove that. So this is the base. And then for each month, there are 2 pieces. We're putting in a piece that will go here that has the month on it. This one is June. And then a 3-inch round will go over here that matches it. So that is the kit. Comes with all 12 months of the rectangle pieces and all 12 of the 3-inch rounds with everything that goes on them. And that kit is linked in the description, and it's also here in the comments. So my board is done. I love getting rid of the boards because I know I'm on to the fun part. So you can, like I said, detail these as much as you want. You can come back in and do some shading, and you can do some extras here and there. I'm going to use my dotting tool. You can use paint pens, you can use whatever you want to use. I'm going to use that yellow that we used on that flower, and I'm going to use a dotting tool. And it's just one of my favorite dotting tools. And I'm going to put that yellow in the center of my flowers, my white flowers. Right like that. And there's the second one. Okay, on our little, I could keep wanting to call it a pelican, flamingo, I'm going to use the little eyelash brush. If you have a liner brush, use that. I like this little eyelash brush. And I'm going to use a little bit darker of a pink. This is kind of, I think, a little vintagey, and I think it goes really, really well with this pink that we're using for the flamingo. Let's call it a pelican again. Hydrangea pink is the light pink that I'm using, and it is from Delta. The darker pink, this is a brand new bottle. I just got it. Cactus Flower by Deco Art. And I think I'm going to put it on here right next to my pink. Now I'm going to take and get my bristles wet. Pull my paper towel over again, and I want my bristles to come to like a point. And I'm going to put it in there, and I want to get a good glob of it because this beak is quite large, and I need my other glasses. Excuse me. I teach way more detail in the Wood Nook, which is my private wood group. So if anybody's interested in that, let me know. But I painted that little part on the beak, that darker pink. Okay, so I think I'm gonna be done with that. I want to take I'm done with the light pink, I think. So I'm gonna cut this off. So I have a fresh sponge right here. And I'm gonna go into the darker pink and tap off. And I'm gonna take the wing and I'm gonna lightly hit the edge. And I'm gonna show you. Can you see where it's shaded and where it's not? The top is shaded, the bottom is not. Just from lightly touching around, right like that. So I'm gonna also do that around How did you start doing this? I have been cutting wood since I was like 14 or 15. My dad used to flip houses and renovate and flip houses. So I learned on the big machinery like the miter saw, the bandsaw, jigsaw, all those hand saws. And I just loved doing it. I used to scroll saw little stuff like this all the time. And so when laser cutters came out, I was all over that. So that's how I got started. I can thank my dad, which I will get to see him on July 1st. So I'm excited about that. So I just did that same thing around the little flamingo. Why do I want to call it a pelican? On my pink rectangle, I'm going to do that same thing. I'm just going to go around the edge. Right, like that. This is ready to be glued, so I'm going to go ahead and start gluing some of these on. So that's what we got there. On the word June, I'm going to take my white, which I'm not going into the paint. I'm tapping off a lot of what's already on there. And I'm going to put some on the bottom. Like that. I might go with a little higher. All right, so we'll let that dry. I'm going to come in with, ooh, put that away. I'm going to come in with, I need, there it is. I'm going to use an angle brush. You can use a paint pen. I like to use my paint brushes. That's what I learned on. And I'm going to use some of that darker. like that. If you guys know how to do that, you can do that on yours too. I do teach that inside of the wood nook. And that's going to go right there. Let me get that glued on. Ooh, don't go anywhere. So I got his little wing on. Look how cute. All right. This should be dry, so let me get this glued on while I got the glue open. We're going to be doing 4 months today, and June is our first one, so we are almost done with this one, and we'll move on to the next one. I know this is ambitious to do 4 in a week, but I want to have these all done by the first part of July. So here is our little June rectangle sign. That's really cute. Does he live far away from you? He lives in Utah and I'm in Alabama. All right, I need black. And I'm just gonna work from the lid of my bottle. Eey. Hi, Dewey. All right, so I got the black on the tip of the beak. Ain't she cute? Okay. Now, if I had a darker blue, I would shade around the outside. That won't. But I'll have to do that later because I did not bring a darker blue over to do that with. But the same way I did the dark pink on the flamingo with the sponge is how I will go around the outside edge and do that. But I did not bring a darker blue for that. On the little flower, I'm gonna use my, bring it to a point. And there are lines, double lines all the way around. I'm just gonna draw a line with my liner brush. Right like that. All right, so I got all 5 of those on there. I'm going to rinse that out. And I want to add some dots. I'm going to use that darker pink And I'm gonna use the smaller. There's two, one larger and one smaller. I'm gonna use the smaller one. And I'm gonna use that darker pink. Yeah, I'm just gonna do the pink. I've got music playing in the background and it's playing ads. Skip. Don't want to play that. Don't want to listen to that. All right, so I put those dots on there like that. Now, right in the very center of where all of those white swoops meet, I'm gonna go to the larger side of my dotting tool. And put a dot right in the middle. That's pretty. Okay, now we can glue this one together. You can put it on the piece or on whatever's on the back if it's large enough. So there's that. And there's June. I think she's cute. All right, let's put this together and then we'll move on to the next one. So I'm going to slide this in. That's cute. You may not even need the back piece. That fits in there snug, really nice. Look how cute. I'm gonna love it.